Polling stations across Seoul opened early on Tuesday, June 3, as South Koreans turned out to vote in a snap presidential election set against the backdrop of one of the most politically turbulent periods in recent national memory. This election comes after 6 months of political crisis ignited by a sudden and widely condemned declaration of martial law by former President Yoon Suk-yeol in December, a drastic move that not only ended his presidency but also shook the public's confidence in the country's democratic institutions. Yoon's brief but shocking attempt to militarize civil governance deeply unsettled South Korea, a nation that has prided itself on its hard-won democratic transition since the 1980s. While the martial law order was quickly reversed under domestic and international pressure, the incident left a lasting scar on the political landscape and galvanized both activists and ordinary citizens to demand stronger protections for democratic norms. Amid this heavy political atmosphere, a surprisingly lighthearted cultural phenomenon has gone viral during the election: personalized drawings stamped with official voting seals. These illustrations, often featuring beloved pets, K-pop idols, or stylized versions of the voters themselves, are being widely shared on South Korean social media platforms such as Instagram and X, formerly Twitter. This creative twist on the traditional voting proof shot reflects a broader desire among voters, especially the younger generation, not just to participate in the democratic process, but to make that participation personally meaningful. One voter, Sun Eun-ji, a 39-year-old office worker, stood outside a polling station in central Seoul, holding a hand-drawn picture of herself and her cat, stamped with the official voting seal. "I thought it would be a bit more fun and meaningful this way," she said. "When you just stamp it on your hand like many used to do, it gets erased so quickly. I wanted something more lasting, something I can keep and look back on." Despite the whimsical trend, many voters were focused on serious national issues. Economic uncertainty has weighed heavily on the electorate, especially in urban areas like Seoul, where rising housing costs, youth unemployment, and inflation have taken a toll on daily life. The South Korean economy, heavily dependent on exports, has also faced external shocks due to rising global protectionism, particularly from the United States, a key ally and trading partner. Kim Kwang-ma, an 81-year-old Seoul native and retired engineer, emphasized the gravity of the situation after casting his vote. "The economy has gotten really bad, and it's not just me, everyone is struggling," he said. "Prices keep going up, and wages haven't caught up. But even more than that, I worry about how divided we've become as a country. The fighting between parties, the hate, it's gone too far. We need to come together." This deep polarization has been one of the defining issues of the campaign, with the two leading candidates offering contrasting visions for the future. Liberal frontrunner Lee Jae-myung, representing the Democratic Party, has positioned himself as a reformer promising to protect democracy, redistribute wealth more fairly, and hold those responsible for the martial law incident accountable. His opponent, Kim Moon-soo, a conservative and former labor minister under Yoon, has called for economic revitalization through deregulation and business-friendly policies but has struggled to distance himself from the Yoon administration's legacy. Lee has been particularly vocal in portraying the election as a moment of national reckoning. "This is Judgment Day," he said at a campaign rally earlier in the week. "We must ensure that no future leader even thinks of betraying our democracy like this again." Kim and his party had a chance to stop Yoon, and they chose loyalty over the Constitution. In a controversial and closely watched moment, former President Yoon Suk-yeol and his wife Kim Ki-eun-hee were seen casting their ballots at a public school near their private residence in Seoul. While no longer in office, Yoon's presence underscored the inescapable shadow his actions continue to cast over the election. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. local time, 2100 GMT Monday. More than a third of the 44.39 million eligible voters already participated during early voting held on May 29 and 30, a record turnout that reflects heightened public engagement. After polls close, exit poll results compiled by 3 major national broadcasters will be released. Ballots will be counted using both machines and manual verification, in a process designed to ensure accuracy and transparency amid the heightened political tensions. This election is not only about choosing a new head of state, it's about South Korea's future. Liberal presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung, who emerged victorious in South Korea's snap election held on Tuesday, June 3, delivered a message of unity and reconciliation in his first public remarks following the win. Speaking to an enthusiastic crowd of supporters gathered outside the National Assembly in Seoul on Wednesday, June 4, Lee emphasized that he would remain mindful of the president's core responsibility: to bring the nation together. "I will never forget that the foremost duty of a president is to unite the people," Lee said, pledging to heal the divisions that have widened during months of political instability and polarization. His remarks came as the country seeks stability following a turbulent period marked by a failed attempt at martial law under the previous administration. Lee also turned his attention to inter-Korean relations, signaling a more conciliatory approach toward North Korea. He vowed to pursue peace and stability on the Korean peninsula through sustained dialogue and communication, departing from the more hawkish stance often favored by conservative predecessors. "I will seek a path for peaceful coexistence with North Korea, not through provocation or isolation, but through engagement and open channels of communication," he told the crowd. Preliminary results and exit polls conducted by South Korea's major broadcasters showed Lee securing a clear and decisive victory over his conservative rival Kim Moon-soo, marking a significant political shift. The results reflect a public mandate for change, particularly in the wake of widespread outrage over former President Yoon Suk-yeol's brief but deeply controversial declaration of martial law late last year. Lee's win represents a dramatic turnaround from the 2022 presidential election, in which he narrowly lost to Yoon. That previous loss marked a setback for the liberal camp, but the political landscape has since shifted dramatically. Yoon's downfall amid accusations of authoritarian overreach and democratic backsliding fueled public frustration and created momentum for Lee's comeback. Now set to lead Asia's fourth-largest economy, Lee faces a range of pressing challenges, from reviving economic growth and curbing inequality to restoring public faith in government institutions. His administration is expected to prioritize reforms aimed at expanding social welfare, promoting transparency, and reinforcing democratic norms that many believe were undermined during Yoon's presidency. As Lee prepares to assume office, both his supporters and critics will be watching closely to see whether he can deliver on his promises, not just to govern effectively, but to bring together a nation still reeling from months of political upheaval.